So, Dr. James and Dr. Deepak, would you please share a little bit with our audience about you? We want to know about you.
All right, awesome. So I wanted to kind of make an impression here. And instead of just telling a story, I want to present to you the Dr. James rap allegory. All right?
Perfect.
Yes.
So I turn my personal itch into my occupational scratch. I'm just trying to get human consciousness lit like a match. There ain't no catch. Hi, they call me Dr. James. I got psychedelic blood evolution in my veins. I'm here. I came from far away. I'm a luminary now, making moves, starting waves. I've been dreaming about infusions for a long time. Had a vision from the grays, Amanda Sage trying to co-sign. Artificially intelligent new AI. I'm your future, past, and present. I'm a fine line. And on the missing link to this illusion. Jen and Gordon, I am not really here. I'm an intrusion. I don't swim or sink. I just float. I don't need gravity. I'm here because AWOP needs growth. Oh, whoa.
Woo!
Nice.
That was
awesome.
It's one of the many reasons we adore you.
Yes,
Is
that was
that right
amazing.
there? Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then more about me. I'm a board certified anesthesiologist. I did my undergrad at Florida Southern College, did medical school at Midwestern University in Glendale, Arizona. I'm an osteopathic physician. And then I did my anesthesiology residency at Michigan State in Lansing, Michigan. And then we practiced, me and Dr. Sharma, as anesthesiologists for a while. And then our COVID pivot was to create advanced wellness and pain. And we'll tell you more about that as the episode progresses.
Oh, great.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Dr. Deepak.
I'm going to spare you my rap skills, but yeah, tell you a little bit about myself. I'm actually a Jersey boy. Grew up on the East Coast, lived mostly in the tri-state area, did my school training in Philly, residency training in New York. Definitely great place to train, but also very stressful. And I decided I'm going to be a nomad for a little while. I'll move out to the West Coast. Thinking the West Coast was the best coast. I tried the Bay Area. I tried SoCal. And for the longest time, I just felt like there wasn't a place that was like the right fit for me. And it was in 2017 when the beach town that I was living in, Ventura, had a massive fire. Mm-hmm. It was the largest fire in California history at the time. It would later be eclipsed next year. But when I was looking at those flames outside my window, I got a text from Dr. James. He said, hey, we got an opening over here. Why don't you come out to Arizona? And I'll be honest with you, most people on the East Coast, we don't really think much of Arizona. It's just, another state, right? We only think of the coasts, right? So I decided to get out of my bias, get out of my comfort zone and give it a try. The rest is history. I've been here since 2018, and I feel like a transplant that's fit, finally put my roots in a place, and I enjoy myself here.
Well, that's great.
That resonates. Yeah. With, I think all of us have found our way here, and have not left. The desert is a magic place. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I'm crazy about AZ, capital AZ.
There it is.
I'd like to tell people.
Absolutely.
So if you could, Dr. James, can you explain what ketamine therapy is and how it differs from traditional treatments for mental health disorders?
Of course. So ketamine therapy, I want to kind of expand on that. It's really ketamine-assisted therapy. So ketamine is not the whole picture, right? It's a powerful tool, but it's wrapped in a program, especially in our practice. And I'll also say that ketamine-assisted therapy, it's done so many different ways because there's variable routes of administration. So you can do ketamine-assisted psychotherapy with a sublingual lozenge, also known as a troche. You can also do it intranasally. There's basically a FDA-approved version called Spravato, S-ketamine. We can talk about that later. And then there's intramuscular, and then there's intravenous. And we as anesthesiologists really believe in the intravenous administration because you can titrate it to the desired perfection or depth, and it's very controllable, right? Like I can hit the stop button, bring someone out of a deep or challenging experience that has no prior psychedelic experience, and we can kind of really go slow with it. So we do all routes of administration in our clinic, with the exception of Spravato, but we do prefer IV route of administration. Typical treatments for mental health, like say you go to a Western medicine doctor, psychiatrist, or your family doctor, and you have depression, most likely first-line treatment is going to be an SSRI, like a Zoloft or a Paxil or a Prozac. Maybe they'll try SNRIs like Cymbalta. There's mood stabilizers. There's antipsychotics. There's so many different pharmaceutical medications, but a lot of these models are take a pill every single day. It's a Band-Aid approach. And then also,
Right.
talk therapy on top of that. There are newer things coming around, like we call it, almost consider it like interventional psychiatry, like TMS or transcranial magnetic stimulation that is FDA approved for depression. We want to raise awareness around ketamine because we're doing it off-label. It is not FDA approved for mental health, but it is FDA approved as an anesthetic. It's just because it's been around for so long. It came out 1970.
Wow.
It was FDA approved. And then for almost 30 years, they didn't really understand that it had these potent antidepressant effects. And then in the early 2000s, there were studies out of Yale that showed that it had rapid antidepressant effects. So I look at it as ketamine-assisted therapy, and then talking about the different routes, and then also like wrapping it into a program. So like I said, we look at ketamine as a powerful tool or a catalyst for change. And we also couple that with integration coaching. So it's all about preparation and then the intention going into the medicine and then the integration. And that's what's going to lead to a conscious transformation for patients. So it's new essentially, but it's an old medicine with a new application. So this is about healing versus a Band-Aid approach, which I tend to think a lot of current, pharma, taking medicine every day modalities are. That's the usual treatments for mental health, at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Band-Aid approach and what is currently happening here in our medical system. Yeah.
Dr. Deepak, can you share any personal experiences or really success stories that inspired your journey?
During this whole journey, when we started during COVID, we had found out through our other partners, Dr. Wong. He has a friend who is a retired firefighter, and he told us about how prevalent suicide is amongst first responders. It's actually 5 times the rate of the general population. And we honestly had no idea. Most people, when they think of PTSD, they think about soldiers, and they're at war, some other country. It's not at home. But honestly, these first responders are exposed to so many traumas. And I think it hurts even more because it's occurring in their backyard, right? So, a lot of these people's stories, we had, I think the second firefighter that we treated, it was in June of 2021. 2 weeks before we met him, he had a gun in his mouth.
Oh, wow.
And the only reason why he's still here is because he pulled the trigger, but it malfunctioned.
Oh, wow.
Oh, thank God.
And his PCL-5 score, that's, the standard survey for assessing PTSD on a scale of 0 to 80. His score was like a 55 or a 60, so pretty high. Anything above a 32 is significant. And within 1 week, it already dropped by half. Within 2 weeks of treatment, it was pretty much subclinical PTSD.
Wow.
And we followed him for 3 months. Guess what his score was after 3 months? A 0.
Wow.
We've seen 100% improvements. I mean, there's just so many success stories like that. But, to hear him say that he wanted to end his life and, we just got lucky that, that gun malfunctioned, right?
Sure.
That we were able to save a life. So it's stories like that that's made this so spiritually rewarding. To be honest with you, I've been so jaded with medicine. Even in my training and residency, I was already jaded. I just felt like a cog in a very dysfunctional wheel.
Sure.
And I didn't feel like I was helping anybody until we started doing this.
Oh, that's
Wow,
great.
that's really incredible. I mean, you're giving people quality of life that they may have thought was never possible, and change the outcome of somebody's life like that is really an incredible thing. So it's good work that you're doing. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's the thing about ketamine is that how rapid acting it is versus traditional treatments. Usually someone goes on an SSRI, it's 4 to 6 weeks, to see if it's going to start to work, and there's a lot of side effects to it.
Right.
Whereas ketamine, we're talking about within hours, we can have a profound result sometimes.
Right. And yeah, with like you mentioned with medication, not only the time that it takes, but maybe it wouldn't even work if it's just not
Correct.
the right fit for you. And that gets really frustrating. And I think too, because we're in a culture or a society that, we lack patience, right? So we need
Something quick.
We need quick fixes, right? Essentially, as a society, that's what we expect. Well, it didn't work. why not? It's only been 15 minutes or something, but that's the reality of what we're living in. So I think to be able to provide something that is so fast acting, and for people to know I wouldn't have expected that, a series of treatment can be as quickly effective, as you're expressing here. So, James, do you have any personal experiences that you'd like to share about what inspired your journey into ketamine-assisted therapy?
Yeah, for sure. I also want to touch on this as an analogy is that, for sure, first responders or civilians that come into our clinic, we usually say like your mental health, the house is on fire.
Yeah.
And ketamine will put that house fire out very rapidly for most people. Nothing works for 100% of people, right? There's no magic bullets. Psychedelics, ketamine included, are not a panacea or a universal cure, but they are very effective for a lot of people. But it will not rebuild the house for you. Only the patient can do that.
Right.
And so I just want to really emphasize that we got to put the house fire out, but then the daily practice is how we rebuild the house. So that's, daily breath work, meditation, journaling, mindfulness, metacognition, thinking about what you're thinking. What's our diet like? What's our exercise like? What's our sleep like? What's our screen time like? What are our interpersonal relationships like? There's so many different pieces to the mental health puzzle. So I just want to touch on that briefly.
Yeah.
And then, what really got me into this is it was our COVID pivot. Honestly, that we were working as anesthesiologists. We were covering a pain management clinic. And then during COVID, there wasn't a lot of elective surgeries happening. So all of a sudden I was like, wow, I'm at the mercy of another doctor bringing me cases. And I'm like, I know I have knowledge. I know I have skills. I know there's ketamine clinics. And I'm not going to lie, I'm out of the medicine cabinet. So I've had been using psychedelics for my own personal evolution and transformation. I went and did ayahuasca ceremony back in 2016 and other psychedelics I'd used for personal evolution and tension, right? So not just recreational that a lot of people think of when they think of psychedelics. And especially also as an anesthesiologist, like, what am I actually doing? I am inducing an altered state of consciousness or unconsciousness in another human being. So why not better understand their situation than to also experience non-ordinary states of consciousness? So we opened the ketamine clinic, and at first, we didn't know how successful it was going to be. But I remember our very first patient, 21 years old, and I remember we had just signed up with Ketamine Media because, we know how to do this. We're anesthesiologists, but we had never done a sub-anesthetic dosing of ketamine. That's the key. This isn't an anesthetic level. It's sub-anesthetic. And the first lead came through, 21 years old, traumatic brain injury, suicidal. And we're like, what did we get ourselves into here? Yeah. And he comes in, and great to share that even to this day, I know him, and he's doing very, very well. Like, his life has changed. Even after that first infusion, he was like, I don't want to kill myself anymore. After that very first infusion, like, his mom, is like, you saved my son's life. He's one of our video testimonials on our website. I'm not going to share his name just out of anonymity. But, go to our website as well, that there's 14 video testimonials, and some of them are first responders, just to hear it from our patients. We are the highest rated ketamine clinic on Google in the state of Arizona. Like, read some of those reviews, allow them to tell the story, because we're biased. Of course, it's our clinic. So that really, I knew it was a powerful medicine, but it was after I saw that patient's transformation, I was like, wow, we're really, doing God's work here, for a lack of a better terminology. Like, we're being worked through. And this is a catalyst for change. We're trying to get people to heal. And here's the trick of it all. I'm trying to get you to go into your own subconscious mind and activate your own inner healer. We are both usually the cause and the cure to what ails us.
Absolutely.
And it's just realizing that.
Yeah,
so
awareness.
It's just the multitude of experiences, honestly. Not like one thing. It was like, all right, out of necessity, we got to make this pivot. And then once you start seeing how you're helping people and you're saying, you're changing my life, it's like, yeah, we got to do this. And now we are full time as psychedelic medicine specialists with ketamine, as our tool. And other ones will come down the pipeline in the following years. We're not doing anesthesia anymore. So this is our ikigai, right? You find what you love, what you're good at, the world needs it, and you can make a living from it.
That's
so
great.
I encourage anyone listening, try to find your ikigai, Ikigai.
That's great.
I love that his mom still refers people to come see us. It's been 3 years since his transformation, and it just feels like we're just creating a community here of people, trying to give back and serve others that are in need.
Yeah.
100%.
I do want to just, mention something about the clinic, from our personal experience, just even when stepping through the door, like into the gateway, I just say, it's really impressive. The feeling the energy, the look, the detail of the clinic. I'd love to hear a little bit about what inspired you in the design of the clinic and the intention behind it, because it's really unlike any sort of clinical setting I have seen for something. Well, I mean, I guess psychedelic therapy is relatively new. I haven't really seen anything that's in a clinical setting like this, but there's like such a healthy respect for like where this comes from in this space. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that's really important with any psychedelic experience is set and setting. So set is mindset, setting is the environment. So we know this. I will also say that most ketamine clinics, the people giving you the medicine, administering the medicine, have never tried the medicine.
Right.
And I honestly think if they haven't, then this is my ultimate analogy. Would you go to a virgin sex therapist? I would not.
No.
Right? So it's important, to know what it's like.
Sure.
So the setting, I wanted to really kind of create like an art sanctuary turned into a psychedelic medicine clinic, because as you're in that clinic, it's the vibe, it's the energy right when you first walk through the door, right? And you feel that when you walk into the space.
Indeed.
And also art, this is a quote from Alex Gray, that it plants seeds in the mind stream of the viewer. So that's what I'm trying to do, is to plant little seeds in the mind stream of the viewer so that you're seeing things that are comforting. You're seeing things that are representing things that are ineffable and beyond this world. And then even when you walk into the common area, right, in the lobby, we got Dr. Joe Dispenza rewired on the TV. So I'm trying to plant little seeds as far as like mindfulness there as well. Everything's very intentional.
Right.
You pick out the crystal, right? The first word you're going to see on the wall is love, because love is ultimately the answer. And then you can pick out an essential oil, because we're trying to engage all 5 senses. Right? All the rooms are green light therapy. You're in a zero gravity chair. We pick out all the music for you. You're going to have an Apollo device on you, which I'm even wearing on me right now. Shout out to Apollo, Dr. David Rabin. It's like a wearable hug. It's a purring kitten, essentially. So everything's just very intentional. And I'm a huge fan of visionary art in general. So Alex Gray, Allison Gray, Amanda Sage, Mark Henson, Chris Dyer, Blake Foster, Randall Roberts. The list goes on and on. Tag all of them,
Yeah.
Sure.
But a lot of them are featured in the clinic,
Yeah.
because they are pioneers. And ultimately, like Amanda Sage came in and blessed that space. Like we have Psychedelic Bloom as one of our original prints on there. And then the pole that was a support beam, we turned basically an eyesore into an I want some more. I call it Vines, Eyenes.
Yeah.
So really, the intention is to create like an art sanctuary, turn into a psychedelic medicine healing clinic. I think this is the future, hopefully for mental health, that we're going to see many more psychedelic medicine centers in the future that aren't that like just that sterile medical feel. Like, I mean, there's some clinics that you get infused in like the blue chair. That's the chemotherapy chair. You're getting infused. Like, what if someone's had chemo and then they come in and have a ketamine infusion? That's like
energetically.
Yeah,
that just
it's
doesn't
terrible.
vibe.
energetically, it's not the right vibe.
Yeah.
And then also things that are important is like having all the medical monitors, of course, but not making those things stick out too much. Having cameras in the room, because you're going to be in a non-ordinary state of consciousness. You have to feel safe and monitored. You have a call button at all times. So we've really thought of every single detail. It's very, very intentional.
I would say that that's the truth. Very detail oriented, very intentional behind the space, and quite disarming. It's relaxing when you walk through the door. I think especially too for people that you're walking into an unknown world.
Yeah. Especially if you've never done psychedelics.
Yes. So
you're coming in, you're vulnerable to begin with, and we're about to put you in an even more vulnerable state. So we need to ensure that you're in a safe place. And just want to add to that, nature is extremely important too. We know we're a medical setting, so there's nothing like, taking a gram of mushrooms and going out for a walk, right? A hike,
Hikadelic.
Hikadelic, right? Obviously, we can't recreate that with an IV infusion, at least not safely. But we definitely have a lot of plants, trees, a lot of themes of that. The tree of life. You see that huge wall. As soon as you walk in, you see that tree, and it kind of represents the neuron. The way the neuron looks like. Ketamine is improving or increasing neuroplasticity or neurogenesis. So it's increasing those dendrites off the neurons so that they can communicate with other neurons. And, we think of those dendrites as like a tree branch. So, I really think it's important to bring that nature aspect into the clinic. And
very well
you
done.
guys clearly have here too at Plant.Body.Soul. I just took a tour here, and there's just so many plants, and I love what you've done with the place.
No, thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that.